Well, can't wait to see what the news has today. Oh my goodness. What a freaking week it's been. Never ceases, does it? Not these days. All right. Oh yeah, X, I saw that announced like updates to their creator revenue sharing program or something because so many people or bots are posting up AI generated war footage in an attempt to confuse, maybe generate some income, who knows. Interesting. Raising seed capital for a studio launch. No shit. Brilliant move. They're gonna make it. Oh, look at this. This one's deciding to leave OpenAI. Who's this? Max Schwartzer. Moving Anthropic. Boy, all this drama is fascinating to watch between them. What's Karp saying? I guess this must have just happened. AI in defense of the West. If Silicon Valley believes we're going to take everyone's white-collar jobs and screw the military, if you don't think that's going to lead to the nationalization of our technology, you're retarded. Well, yeah, that's, I mean, that pretty much would be where that would go. He's not wrong.
We are going to take away everyone's white-collar job, meaning primarily Democratic-shaped.
And while I'm sure people like him would come out of that just fine, as in, you know, not dead, they'd be considerably less well-positioned than they are right now. There's no doubt it would be bad for them. And worse for the rest of us, probably. So
Whom I grew up with.
I wish this was easier to hear, but it's not. Wonder where this is. A16Z. Look at that Art Deco. Interesting. Z. I don't know. We invest in software eating the world. What a weird thing to say. Oh. Black Lives Matter founder in Illinois, Clyde McLemore, caught beating his female employee. While wearing a Black Lives Matter hoodie with a Black Lives Matter banner hanging on the wall. Oh, we don't get audio? Shit. Yo, listen to me. Shut up, ho. Shut up, bitch. Give me that money. Oh, yes. Come on, girl. Come on. Ah, use those nails. You got those for a reason, right? Crazy stuff, though. Clyde McLemore. All right, I think I still gotta pull up my D-Live chat here. Yeah. Let me knock that out real quick. Get you guys tucked down where you belong here. Whee! Okay.
President Trump, I'm glad you know this regime is going to collapse. It's not if, it's when. And when that happens, there'll be a gateway to peace that no one ever envisioned.
Gateway to peace?
So, there'll be a gateway to
Freudian slip?
no one peace that no one ever envisioned. So President Trump, I'm glad you did it when you did it. If we waited much longer, we'd have a bigger threat on our hands, and we're on the verge of a new dawn.
Yes, there will be a gateway to peace. If you're Lindsey Graham. Why is this? Okay. All right, well, anyway, that was an interesting scan of the timeline. What? Whoa, Aiden Ross's sister dead at 36? What the hell happened there? Rest in peace. Jeez. That sucks. All right. Let's see. Bottom of the barrel. There we go. Down we go. Wee. Come on. Oh, it's making me do the show more. Always fun. Throwing me for a loop. There we go. Okay, cool. President Trump participating in bilateral meeting with Chancellor of Federal Republic of Germany, talking about Iran and Ukraine. Like, we'll get some highlights here. And Kristi Noem testifying before the Senate.
Negotiation.
President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their.
Couldn't quite make out her question. What was it?
President,
Did Israel force your hand? He asks.
President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No,
I might have forced their hand, he says. Ooh. Now that's interesting.
You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people, people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready, and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact.
Confusing statement. I don't know. Trump announces Iran has lost air detection and detection facilities. Yeah, if that's the case, that definitely puts them in a bit of a shitty position.
So they're gonna be in for a lot of hurt. These are bad people. These are people that killed. I guess it's 35,000. It's coming out 35,000 over the last 3 weeks. Protesters, 35,000 violently killed. So these are bad people, and the leader of the pack is gone. And as you know, 49 people were taken out in the first hit, and I guess there was another hit today on the new leadership, and it looks like that was pretty substantial also. So they're getting hit very hard, and we'll see.
Oh yeah, I heard the other day they Iran like appointed a new guy step into the role Khamenei left open, so to speak. And within like a couple hours, they bombed him. They bombed the new guy. Like that. Jeez. Not messing around. Trump reveals countless Iranian regime leaders are now desperately calling. Well, yeah, I bet after that, for sure. They don't want to be next in line of succession.
See what happens. A lot of people are coming forward. A lot of the people you would least suspect want to quit. They want to have immunity. They're asking for immunity, and probably at some point they'll be dropping, as you would say, laying down their guns. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, we're just continuing to go forward. Our military is the #1 in the world by far, and we are. Everything's big in my book. Venezuela was big. This is big. The original hit, Midnight Hammer, was big. Everything you view is big, but
Big. It's all big.
It's not considered very big by
Did it again.
some standards. See what happens. We don't want that to happen. It would probably be the worst. You go through this, and then in 5 years you realize you put somebody in who was no better. So we'd like to see somebody in there that's going to bring it back for the people. And we'll see what happens with the people. You
That
know,
is
they have
indeed the
their-
big question here. I mean, I mentioned the other day, what comes next? It was biggest issue with so many of our past fuck ups. We'll just go with that.
chance. And we've said, don't do it yet. If you're going to go out and protest, don't do it yet. It's very dangerous out there. A lot of bombs are being dropped. But I would say that would be about the worst.
Do you have someone in mind right now? Because you said all the people you did have in mind have been taken out. What do you think?
Well, most of the
that's
people we had in
next?
mind are dead. So, you know, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody. But we have, I mean, Venezuela was so incredible because we did the attack and we kept government totally intact. And we have
Okay, there we go. Trump is asked if exiled Iranian Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi is under consideration to lead the country. Now, I thought that he had been asked this recently already, like, I don't know, at some point within last week or so. I mean, I'm obviously since all this happened, I thought that he'd said basically no, but maybe I'm misremembering that. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. So he responds here, I guess he is. Some people like him. We haven't thought too much about that. It seems to me somebody, yeah, exactly. Somebody from within would be more appropriate. He looks like a very nice person. I agree. But that first point kind of can't get around that. The expat population, it is an entirely different story than the one inside the borders. And I don't know how much support he's got there. Who knows? He's definitely got a lot of support here amongst expat Iranians that have, you know, fled the country back in the 70s and remained here all this time. They love him, but that ain't the same thing as running Iran and gaining widespread support within the borders. I mean, those populations have diverged, I guarantee you, big time over the last few decades. They've got I'm sure they have their own people that they would probably rather see. Let's hear his response here, though.
Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, is he an option at all in your mind?
I guess he is. Some people like him, and we haven't been thinking about too much about that. It would seem to me that somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate. I've said that. He looks like a very nice person, but it would seem to me that somebody that's there, that's currently popular, if there's such a person. But we have people like that. We have people that were more moderate. You know, these were radical lunatics, and you know what they get? They get nothing. All they do is kill people.
More on Pahlavi? Or, that might just be a duplicate. Okay. Trump now cutting off all trade with Spain after their leftist prime minister said to not use bases in their country to strike Iran.
Everybody was enthusiastic about
Yeah, I don't know why we
Germany.
would give a
Everybody.
shit. Like, what the hell does Spain have that we care about?
And Spain didn't do it.
A vacation
And
spot or
now
two?
Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly. And so I told him, we don't want to, Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they would have agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
They have absolutely zero leverage. Like, what do we give a flying shit about that for? We don't. Trump rips the UK and Starmer on what?
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it, for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Well, ain't that the truth? Say that again. Trump reveals Iran was getting ready to attack not only Israel but other countries. Really? Yeah. Rather longer clip here, 2 minutes.
Have a situation where we were going to be attacked. They were getting ready to attack Israel. They were getting ready to attack others. You're seeing that right now. And a lot of those missiles that are hitting in, those are stationary. Those were aimed there for a long period of time at these other countries. So I think I was right about that. We attacked first. And if we didn't, it could have been, you know, look, we're really decimating them. They're being decimated. And if we didn't, and by the way, we have massive amounts of ammunition. We have the high end. A lot of it was given away stupidly by Biden, very stupidly, for free. And I'm all for Ukraine, but they gave away a lot. As you know, when I give away ammunition, everybody pays for it. The European Union's paying for it. Then they can do what they want with it, but they are giving it, let's say, to Ukraine, and it's okay. But we gave away a lot of high end, but we have plenty. But we have unlimited middle and upper ammunition, which is really what we're using in this war. And we have really an unlimited supply. We also have a lot of the very high end stored in different countries throughout the world. We're literally storing it there, which is actually something that I insisted on in my first term. I rebuilt the military in my first term. The military is great. Unbelievable amount of ammunition, or munitions, as they say, we've given away to, you know, the Wall Street Journal incorrectly covered the story when they said that it was given away to the Middle East. Not to the Middle East, it was given away to Ukraine. Very little was given to the Middle East. The Middle East would buy a lot, and some of the nations, because they're rich, they have a lot, but it was given away to Ukraine. And it just should have been done. Look, it's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, that war would have never happened. But we have a tremendous amount of munitions, ammunition at the upper level, middle and upper level, all of which is really powerful stuff.
Okay. Besant, Trump and Besant confirm 47 has the full right to abolish trade with Spain. Thanks to the Supreme
To
Court.
us by the Supreme Court. And we have the right, as an example, we talked about Spain. I could tomorrow stop, or today, even better, stop everything having to do with Spain. All business having to do with Spain. I have the right to stop it. Embargoes, do anything I want with it. And we may do that with Spain. What do you think?
Well, sir, I think we're going to talk about it with you. I know that you have strong power. The Supreme Court clarified. We know you can use it, and if you need to use it to assure national and economic security, we'll do it.
Scott, do you have an opinion?
Sir, I agree. The Supreme Court reaffirmed your ability to implement an embargo, and as we've talked, from your first term, the Section 301s and the 232s have withheld more than 4,000 lawsuits, and USTR and Commerce are going to begin investigations, and we'll move forward with those.
And we've instituted a 15% tariff.
All right. Oh, browser. There we go. Trump eviscerating Europe for allowing Sharia courts.
Places where, in the UK, you have a terrible mayor of London, terrible, he's an incompetent guy, but you have Sharia courts. You don't have Sharia courts. You don't want Sharia courts. You have Sharia courts adjudicating law. So it's very simple. Immigration, very importantly, immigration and energy. And you bring it back. Otherwise, you're not going to bring it back. Okay. Places where
Trump drops truce. The saddest is if my election weren't rigged, that war would have never taken place.
that has an impact, you know. It really has an impact. It's bad for both. The saddest is that if the election weren't rigged, my election, that war would have never taken place. And you know what else wouldn't have taken place? Allowing 25 million people to pour through an open border. That wouldn't have taken place. A lot of things would have been different. But we're doing very well. And I think a big factor in this world and future factor is what we're doing right now with Iran. That has an impact. Attack. Two things. The attack that we did, known as Midnight Hammer. Had we not done that, Iran would have had a very powerful nuclear weapon within 1 month. We did it. It was great timing, but, you know, and you've been able to see that too. The other thing was Barack Hussein Obama made maybe the worst deal I've ever seen, because he gave all power in the Middle East to Iran. He went the exact opposite way, and I terminated that. If I didn't terminate that deal, they would be sitting with a massive nuclear weapon 3 years ago, which would have been used already on Israel at least, and other countries also. And we wouldn't be talking about it right now. But if I didn't terminate the deal that Obama made, giving them everything, including plane loads of cash. You remember the airplane flew over there? It was a Boeing 757. There was 2 of them, loaded. They took out all the seats. It was loaded with green cash. So much cash that you could, it was in Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. They got all the cash from all the banks. They put it, and they flew it to Iran. I never knew a president had that power. I'm going to maybe try it sometime if it's okay. I think I'm going to do it. I'll fly it somewhere. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
All right. Trump has a mic drop moment on Iran, then tells the press to leave the room.
Iran, if
oh, back to quiet. We're back to quiet mode again.
we don't stop them, or if we didn't stop them, or if we didn't start, they've been decimated. But if we didn't do what we're doing right now, you would have had a nuclear war, and they would have taken out many countries, because you know what? They're sick people. They're mentally ill, sick people. They're angry. They're crazy. They're sick. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, now on to Noam. This is all about ICE stuff, I guess.
Okay. Well.
Oh boy. We had a theater kid.
Okay.
We had a theater kid show up.
Well.
Used to be a 70-year-old. Your cafe abolish ICE. Your cafe abolish ICE. Your cafe.
And it's
We
gone.
may proceed.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member, for holding this hearing today and inviting me to be a part
Opening
of it.
statement here.
I'm looking forward to discussing the worldwide threats that this country faces and the work that President Trump and his administration does each and every day to make America safe again. I'm very privileged and honored today to have my family with me. I'd like to introduce them to you.
The power of ice compels you? Did he just...
Introduce them to you.
Oh, the power of Christ. Okay. It's the pretend priest guy again. Everyone remember him?
Of congressional business is a violation of law, is a criminal offense under federal law. Audience members are advised to take their seats and maintain order. The chairman may now ask Capitol Police to remove and arrest the persons creating the disturbance.
Get ICE off our streets! Stop terrorizing our community! Get ICE off our streets! Stop terrorizing our community! Get ICE off our streets! Stop terrorizing our community!
Oh, my God.
Secretary, may continue.
I'll continue. Today with me, I have my husband, Brian, who's with me, and also two of my children. My oldest daughter, Cassidy, and her husband, Kyle, are sitting here in the
What
front
a nice
row.
experience.
And then my middle child, Kennedy, and her husband, Tanner, and that was my grandbaby, Noah, that was crying a little bit during the ranking member's comments. I don't think she agreed with him. I don't
look,
have
it's
my
Medea.
son with me.
It's Medea. Medea Benjamin.
Or three of my grandchildren, but I'm very blessed that I have a wonderful family who is here and loves this country and is grateful to the work that we get to do as a family each and every day. We also have the blessing of having some angel families with us as well. They are here in the audience, and I'm so grateful for them for being willing to come here and be strong. It's hard to lose someone that you dearly love to illegal criminal activity, to people who never should have been in our country to begin with, and to lose those loved ones to drug overdoses that get perpetuated by the terrorist organizations that filter them into our country that President Trump works so hard to stop. So I'm grateful that they're here and that they are telling their story. Under President Biden, he closed the office in the Department of Homeland Security that serviced these families. He closed it because he didn't want them to speak. He didn't want them to have support or services. And President Trump reopened the Voices office so that they can get services, so they can hear about the cases of the individuals who killed their family members, and they can get the kind of help that they need to get through the tragic grief that they've experienced. So I want to thank them for being here and continue to pray for them. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be in front of you today to discuss the wide range of threats that the Department of Homeland Security is working on to protect us from here at home and also around the world. Just 2 weeks ago, the day before Thanksgiving, a terrorist shot two of our National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C., killing Sarah Beckstrom dead, and Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf is still fighting for his life. Fortunately, we've had some really good news about Andrew recently, and he had the opportunity to stand up and is a miracle, and so grateful for his family for being so strong. We continue to lift him up and pray he has a full recovery. The terrorist who shot them was an Afghan national who entered the United States under Operation Allies Welcome. The same week, we arrested another Afghan national who came in under the same program. He was planning to carry out a bombing in Fort Worth, Texas. And just last week, just miles away in Washington, D.C., we arrested another Afghan national who also came in under Operation Allies Welcome. That individual provided support to the Islamic State of Iraq and ISIS-K and weapons to his father, who was a commander of a militia group in Afghanistan. Those are only a handful of the challenges that we face and the threats that the Department of Homeland Security stands against every single day. Under President Trump's leadership, DHS is securing our borders, we're restoring the rule of law, and we're protecting the homeland. DHS is eradicating transnational organized crime and the stopping of deadly drugs from continuing to be funneled into our communities. We're ending illegal immigration, returning sanity back to our immigration system, and we're defending against cyber attacks against our critical infrastructure. We have sent a strong message to criminal illegal aliens that we will find you, we will arrest you, and we will deport you. Our message has resonated to over 1.5 million illegal aliens who have gone home on their own voluntarily. At the same time, we as a country are still dealing with the mistakes, the errors, and the willful disregard of the last administration. For 4 years, the Biden administration allowed millions of people to come into our country illegally. Millions more in our country were exploited and were brought in under parole programs without even basic vetting. As a result, we've seen terrorist attacks and heinous crimes committed against American children and families by criminal illegal aliens and violent perpetuators who should have never been allowed into this country in the first place. Transnational organized crime groups, including Mexico's Sinaloa, New Generation Jalisco, and other drug cartels, they cause chaos and they harm American interests. Our critical infrastructure faces a perilous landscape, largely driven by the impact of cyber attacks from bad actors and cyber criminals. American citizens are increasingly under threat from assassination attempts, intimidation tactics, and violence perpetuated by our adversaries, radical Islamic extremists and domestic extremists. These bad actors seek to undermine our public trust. They instill fear in Americans. They destabilize the institutions that safeguard our national security. The United States is preparing to host several major public events in 2026, most notably the FIFA World Cup and the celebration of the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence. These large-scale events will be potential targets for a range of bad actors, and they come with an increased level of risk. DHS is using every tool and authority we have to ensure the safety of U.S. citizens and our visitors can enjoy next year's events. Radicalized domestic violent extremists and lone actors are a concern, and intentional targeting and murderous attacks on ICE agents in Texas, parishioners in Michigan, and 2 National Guardsmen here in Washington, D.C. are just some of the acts, the despicable examples that unfortunately are becoming too common. These threats underscore a clear need for security strategies that counter both large-scale and individualized attacks. We will remain alert in our mission to protect this country. We will protect our citizens. And as we enter into a historic year, America will be on the world stage. Our economy faces challenges from anti-competitive and illicit foreign economic practices that hurt the prosperity of all Americans. Those include economic espionage, intellectual property theft, and customs fraud. Illicit front companies often abuse the visa system to acquire sensitive U.S. equipment, information, and technology. Economic security is national security because a country that cannot feed itself, can't fuel itself, and cannot provide for itself cannot possibly defend itself. Under President Trump's leadership, we will continue to protect American interests and bolster American economic power and technological innovation to further growth and prosperity. The American people depend on the Department of Homeland Security to remain vigilant, agile, and responsive. We will never yield, we will never waver, and we will never back down. Thank you for the privilege to be with you today, Mr. Chairman, and I look forward to your continued support of the work that we do. I yield back.
Okay. More insanity. Geez, how many freaking people do they have today? Dozen?
Latest Democrat-led shutdown of DHS is reckless, it's unnecessary, and it undermines the American national security, and it harms the men and women who work at DHS and their families. Despite the House passing a bipartisan, bicameral full-year DHS funding bill, it is Senate Democrats who've chosen not to fund the department and have held this department hostage. As a result, critical national security missions, including border security, immigration enforcement, aviation security, disaster response, cybersecurity, and the protection of critical infrastructure, are all being strained. Our ability to provide for a safe and successful World Cup is being hindered as well. More than 100,000 dedicated DHS employees are once again being asked to work without pay for the third time in just 5 months. At a time when we've produced the most secure border in history and removed nearly 3 million illegal aliens from our country, disrupting the department responsible for those gains is indefensible. I want to thank the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security for their professionalism, for their dedication, for their commitment to keeping America safe and continuing to show up and work even though they aren't being compensated for it. They've kept us safe and they have patience, and our success is only possible because of their service and sacrifices.
Okay. Oh, Dickie Durbin.
The rapist. And then it turns out that 85% of the people you've gone after have no criminal history whatsoever.
Please.
How do you explain that?
Sir, when you talk about violent crimes, what you're saying, the crimes that don't matter, that you aren't counting, are ones that affect American families every single day. You're not counting DUIs, you're not counting embezzlements, you're not counting theft, and you're not counting the other crimes against people and drug trafficking and proliferating that. So if you don't count those as crimes, that these individuals and impacting families in this country,
They are counted, and they calculated
Those-
14% of those that you
those are not
arrested.
counted in your 14%. If you were counting crimes that these individual illegal aliens in this country have committed, it would be well over 65 to 70% of the individuals that are detained today have those crimes on their record, besides the crime of being in this country
You're going
illegally.
to back that up with some information for me?
Absolutely, I will.
I certainly hope you will. How does taking a
Cup is being hindered. Our ability to provide for a safe and successful World Cup is being hindered as well. More than 100,000 dedicated DHS employees are once again being asked to work without pay for the third time in just 5 months. Our ability to provide for a safe and successful World Cup is being hindered as well. More than 100,000 dedicated
deployed at the
Chris Coons is
polls
the loser.
ICE should be deployed at the polls in the next election. Will you rule out the deployment of ICE or CBP to polling places this November?
There are no plans to have ICE officers at our polling locations. And
I'm glad to
Do you-
hear that, but would you rule it out? Would you say it will not happen?
do you plan on illegal aliens voting in our elections, Senator?
I do not. In
Okay,
fact,
then
the
there should be
Heritage
no need to.
Foundation,
Unless you plan on illegal
Madam
aliens
Secretary, the
voting.
Heritage Foundation recently concluded that over a 20-year period where they reviewed hundreds of millions, billions of voting cases, they found only a small handful of actual cases of illegals voting. So I'm concerned by your rebuttal, which suggests you may be unfamiliar with 18 U.S.C. Section 592. Are you familiar with this federal statute that relates to sending armed men to polling places?
There are no plans to send any of our law enforcement officers to
But
polling
Madam Secretary,
locations.
you're
sir.
clear it would
There
be a
have been
federal
illegal
crime
aliens.
for you to do so.
There are illegal aliens that have voted, and it's been proven in the past in certain cases in certain states. We provide a program to states. I think we have 27 different states that utilize our SAVE program now.
Testifies under oath
We're-
that the Biden regime was paying child traffickers to sponsor unaccompanied minors.
Accompanied alien children were lost by the Biden administration, not tracked. We've located about 145,000 of them, and we've done that through the investigative work of our Homeland Security Investigations team. They are phenomenal at the work that they do, and they specialize in child trafficking, sex trafficking, and finding individuals that would perpetuate that harm against our children. The one thing that has been challenging is that under the Biden administration, the government paid sponsors in HHS in order to host these children. And those sponsors, many times, we found instances where they trafficked these children themselves. So under that administration, we not only had children that were in this country as a part of a program, the government was paying individuals that were knowingly trafficking them and abusing them. That has stopped. We have gone through and found these children and put them back with their families when we have the opportunity to do so, and with loved ones that will care for them. And I would say that even in one case, we have other countries where we've been working with them to get their children back home, where we've been prevented returning these families back and helping them to be reunified by activist judges. But we will continue to work to ensure that these individuals and these children that were abused by the trafficking over the border have the opportunity to be brought back to their families and to their loved ones going forward.
Okay. Tillis going berserk on Nome.
Wants out of the White House. We just want numbers. We want 1,000 a day, 6,000 a day, 9,000 a day, because numbers matter, right? No, they don't matter. Quality matters, not quantity, quality. And what we've seen is a disaster. Under your leadership, Ms. Nome, a disaster. What we've seen is innocent people getting detained that turn out are American citizens. I could talk about the culture that's been created here. with Stephen Miller aiding and abetting. I heard first reports that he was the one that said it was a domestic terrorist situation where 2 people lost their lives in Minneapolis. I've heard that report. Maybe you can refute it. I don't know that we'll have time for you to respond because I'm giving you a performance evaluation here. I'm not looking for a response. And I'm saying, Ms. Noem, that time after time after time I've been disappointed. But before I get back to looking at the vicious people that did this damage to these families, I want to talk a minute about FEMA. You have a policy right now that anything over $100,000 has to go through your desk for approval. I asked my staff, because I'm a management consultant, I don't try to do cheap shots in here, but the facts do not lie. This is your administration for FEMA response. This is President Trump's first administration. Which one would you like to have? If you're a state that has a $60 billion disaster, your biggest disaster in South Dakota that I can tell that when you were an elected official was about $500 million. So 1/100th of this single storm where thousands of people are hurting in North Carolina and you're just barely catching up. This is what competent FEMA leadership looks like. This is what incompetent FEMA leadership looks like. And people are hurting in Western North Carolina from the most significant storm they've ever experienced. This is what we need more of. I'm convinced you can't do it. If you're requesting a review of $100,000 and up, then it begs the question, why? Why would you be involved in that? Why would that be a policy? And in a minute,
Eric Schmidt destroying Blumenthal.
Since we're having folks stand up, I would have Laken Riley stand up. I would have Kayla Hamilton stand up. I would have Jocelyn Nangari stand up. I would have Rachel Morin stand up. I would have the beautiful sons and daughters who were murdered by illegal immigrants stand up, but they can't because they're dead. They were murdered by illegal immigrants that were led into this country by Joe Biden. And I think it's important to set the stage, since we're having this oversight hearing, to set the stage how we got here. 5 years ago, something was done that had never been done in the history of our country. We had a president who willfully ignored immigration laws and immigration enforcement, threw open the border to 15 million people who are here illegally, tens of thousands of murderers, hundreds of thousands of hardened, violent criminals. And we can debate why. I know why. They're trying to pump up the numbers for their congressional districts because they lost the case with the American people. But the tragedies that ensued, the tragedies that were left in the wake of this disastrous policy are what we're left with. And your job now is to finally enforce our immigration laws. And they don't like it. They actually don't think that anybody should have to leave. Because if you create the problem so big, which is what Joe Biden and the Democrats tried to do, the only solution is mass amnesty. And I'm here to tell you, we're not doing it. And the mass deportations will continue. Thank God we front-loaded the money for ICE. Thank God we did it. Because it was just a matter of time. Now, by the way, the outrage machine has moved on to something else, so I actually have...
IDF tells Fox News they've eliminated Iran's top commander overseeing Quds forces in Lebanon.
Breaking news, the IDF telling Fox moments ago that they have eliminated Iran's top commander overseeing the Quds forces in Lebanon. Now, this individual is described as at the brigadier general level, as I mentioned, one of the highest commanders there, connecting Hezbollah with the Iranian terror regime. So this is a significant takedown in the strike on Tehran, and it's just the latest out of the Middle East. And that's as President Trump says Iran's forces have been largely wiped out. And he confirmed that attack that Israel conducted this morning on Iranian leadership as they were counting their votes. They took out this Iranian leadership. Big deal. Lots of news. Stay with Fox News.
Saudi Arabia preparing to authorize devastating strikes on Iran because lines have been crossed.
Place military and diplomatic sources in the region tell me Saudi Arabia is very close to allowing its Air Force to strike targets inside Iran after facing unprecedented missile and drone attacks on its civilians, including incoming missiles today targeting Daman, its fifth largest city. Quote, the next 24 hours is going to be intense, I'm told. A line has been crossed, a well-placed official in the Gulf tells me. What's truly extraordinary, Harris, about this development is that it would not have been possible if Israel had not been brought in under U.S. Central Command at the end of the first Trump administration. Carrying out airstrikes takes tremendous deconfliction and coordination. CENTCOM used to be attached, or excuse me, Israel used to be attached to the European Command due to sensitivities with the Arab states that did not recognize Israel. That changed with the Abraham Accords. No U.S. personnel were killed or injured when the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was struck last night by at least 2 Iranian Shahed drones. The embassy was largely empty at the time. There is a division of labor right now in terms of targeting. Israel is targeting Iranian leadership, like that meeting that Trey mentioned of top religious scholars in Qom earlier today, where Iran's remaining top religious leaders were meeting to decide the successor to the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei.
Mehrabad International Airport in Tehran targeted in a strike earlier today. Dang. That is no joke.
Impacts just the scene of one of these cluster munition impacts just outside of Tel Aviv. But I'm told by a senior Israeli official that the Israelis just struck the Supreme Council gathering where the Iranians were meeting to choose a new supreme leader. This is a significant development and again speaks to the Israeli intelligence about this war. They just targeted the meeting in Tehran where what's left of the leadership was gathering to choose a new supreme leader. The Iranians are continuing their attacks against Israel. Right now we are in the community of Bnei Brak. It's a religious community outside of Tel Aviv. And you can see where the police and first responders show you the scene of one of the
video shows the Secretariat of Iran's Expediency Discernment Council in Tehran destroyed in a U.S.-Israeli strike. Whoa. Dang, bro. Footage of Iran's Islamic Assembly of Experts building in Tehran blown up by Israel. Let's see. Is that the same one or a different one? Not sure. It's different, yeah. U.S. Navy guided missile destroyers delivering unrelenting firepower. Dang. Cool. Dang. Jeez. See that little targeting thing like flashing on it? That's crazy. Wow. Yikes. John Ossoff runs when confronted about why he requires ID to attend his events. Oh, that's racist.
Ossoff, why did you call an ID bill unworkable? Doesn't your rally require IDs? And why are you against efforts to secure elections? Senator Ossoff, why did you call a voter ID totally unworkable? Don't you require IDs for your rallies? Why are you opposed to efforts to secure elections?
Iran conflict sparks Capitol Hill firestorm as Senate vote nears. Trump admin to brief Congress on Iran. Okay. No.
Before at
we'll skip it. CPAC proud to announce that Reza Pahlavi is a confirmed speaker for CPAC 2026 this month. Huh. All right. IDF has blown up an Iranian nuclear weapon development site. Currently right here. What, in Tehran? Yeah, like on the outskirts? Yep. Oh. Identity of undercover FBI officer who stung Epstein's ex-butler revealed. Agent Paul Bruno. Huh. EFO Bruno. Headline: USA was able to piece together Bruno's identity, comparing two identical FBI memos that have redactions in different places. Yeah, they're funny about that. Interesting. Funny what you can pick up when you take the time to put some of the pieces together. Whoa. Apparently Bruno shot and killed someone during an undercover sting op back in 2005. Interesting character. Bruno could not be reached for comment. Interesting. Six individuals claiming Mexican nationality captured trying to enter the U.S. near San Diego. Oh, large fire engulfing U.S. consulate in Dubai. Hit by Iranian drone. I think no one was injured though. Labor Secretary's top aides resigning amid IG probe. What? Lori Chavez de Raymer. Two top staffers reportedly resigned amid internal probe into allegations of misconduct. Chief of Staff Ji-Hoon Han and his deputy Rebecca Wright were under investigation regarding accusations that taxpayer dollars were used on personal trips with family and friends. Lane also accused the secretary of drinking on the job, having an inappropriate relationship with a member of her security detail, and alleged that senior staffers were aware of her behavior. Well, we'll see. Anniversary of the national anthem. Oh.
On this day in 1931, America finally got something it had been missing for 155 years, an official national anthem. The Star-Spangled Banner was written in 1814 by Francis Scott Key after watching the British bombard Fort McHenry. At dawn, the flag still flew. The song spread nationwide, but it wasn't official. On March 3, 1931, Herbert Hoover signed it into law. After 117 years, it became the national anthem of the United States, the song for every ball game, ceremony, and moment of pride. It took over a century to make it official. Today, Americans still rise when it plays. Follow for daily history.
Not too bad for AI slop. That's the Save America Act. America's elections rigged, stolen, a laughingstock all over the world. Trump says, we're either going to fix them or we won't have a country any longer. Asking Republicans to fight for the SAVE Act. We're still on that shit, I guess. Jeez. Speaker Johnson, let the record show Democrats are instructing their members to keep the DHS closed and prolong the Democrat DHS shutdown. No surprise there. Okay, John Thune speaking ahead of Iran briefing.
Congress would need to authorize any military action against Iran beyond the 60-day or 90-day window.
No. I think the president has the authority that he needs to conduct the activities, the operations that are currently underway there. And as you know, there's a lot of controversy around, questions around the War Powers Act, but I think the president is acting in the best interest of the nation and our national security interests by ensuring that he's protecting Americans and American bases and installations in that region, as well as those of our allies.
Congress would need to authorize any military action against Iran.
Oh, CIA hag here in Virginia, Spamberger, currently won't let ICE come get an illegal immigrant with 30 prior arrests who just killed an American citizen in her own state.
She said that a man with 30 prior arrests who is now accused of fatally stabbing a citizen in her state at a bus stop, that's not enough for ICE to go out and get her, for them to hand over that illegal immigrant to ICE for deportation. It just makes you wonder, what is enough to deport someone? What is enough for someone to be handed over? She said that a man with 30...
Oh, kitty. Oh, kitty's coughing. Nope. Okay, wait, come back here. Completely false from Reuters. Todd Blanche says, not sure how such fake news makes its way to publication. Well, yeah. What did they say? Do some other news now. Exclusive Reuters reporting shows that Trump's Justice Department is quietly preparing a criminal indictment against Delcy Rodriguez, the new president of Venezuela. Quite a claim. Yeah. Well, sounds like Todd Blanche says it's bullshit, so. Here's the moment the Iranian consulate, or U.S. consulate rather, in Dubai got hit.
Shit. Legal. Another drone. Leave from there. Leave from there. वो खुला काउंटर
Yeah. Mamdani is using Signal, the Signal app, to conceal his communications, his official comms. What is he hiding indeed? Not pretty. Amtrak's new 125-mile-per-hour Aero trains are on track to ride later this year. Oh, finally? Let's see it. Oh, come on now. Boo! Get this shit off my screen. Come on. I swear. New York Post, man. Ah! Oh, they're so bad. The hell is my ad blocker at, man? Jeez. Oh, I guess that blocks the video. That's nice. Oh well. At least I don't get those stupid ass ads. Well, I want to see the train though. Show me the choo-choo. Show me the choo-choo, please.
This is Amtrak's newest train,
Looks like
the
old
Aero.
With
Starting this year,
like
83 of these
car.
brand new intercity train sets are hitting the American tracks. From Maine to Georgia and from Canada to Oregon, these trains will define the next decades of passenger rail in the United States. Today, we got an exclusive first look at the Aero. We're going to take you through everything, from business class to the cafe to coach, and search for an answer to...
Let's see the cafe car.
Torch. Now, of course, saying goodbye to Amtrak's older trains means start with coach, since 5 out of the 6 cars will be coach cars.
Bad, I guess.
Trains here, like a lot, more than I've ever seen any Amtrak train. And they're there to help you decide which one of the many treats you want to splurge on. If you're not really feeling food
oh well,
or something to drink, and you manage to get bored by the
dystopian.
a wood finishing on the wall.
Business class, you get wood, probably fake wood finishing on the walls, and what sort of kind of nicer seats, but not really.
There are stylish leather seats, a wood finishing on the walls. Speaking of the seats, let's just go try them out. Oh yeah, that's business class. Business class is laid out in a 2x1 configuration.
I mean, can we do better than that? I think we probably can. Kind of sad. All right, where did we leave off here? There we go. U.S. banks on high alert for cyber attacks as Iran war escalates. Now, Macro Rubio here.
We have identified and continue to identify charter flights, military flight options, and expanded commercial flight options, meaning working with the airlines to send bigger airplanes with more seats, and the combination of those three things. The impediment we're facing now, in many cases, we've had a couple instances in which we have planes in the air and on the way, and unfortunately the airspace gets closed and they have to turn back around, so we're working through those challenges. Here's the message I want to deliver Americans who are in the Middle East and in need of assistance. It is very important, and I ask this of the networks as well, it is important for you to please put both the website and the phone numbers on your screens, because we need people, we need to know where you are. We need to have contact information for Americans that need assistance. They have to register with us, because as these options begin to open up, and as they open up, we have to be able to call you, we have to be able to reach you, we have to be able to know where you're staying so we can get this information to you and coordinate appropriately. And it'll be a variety of methods: charter flights, military flights and transports, expanded commercial opportunities, and in some cases land routes that will allow them to go to neighboring countries who might have open airports at that point. So it's a lot of different things here that need to happen in order to move people, but it all starts by knowing that you're there. It all starts by knowing that where you are and how we can get a hold of you. So I'm asking the networks and all of the media outlets, please publicize the 2 phone numbers that we've put out, as well as the website, so people can contact us and register. We've had, thousands of people call already. As I said, we've identified almost 1,600 that are requesting assistance with departure, but we need you to please be able to identify that.
That Israel was going to strike Iran, and that's why we needed to get involved. Today, the president said that Iran was going to get.
Yeah, your statement is false. So that's not what I was asked very specifically. Were you there yesterday?
Yes, I asked.
Okay. No, were you the one that? Because somebody asked me a question yesterday. Did we go in because of Israel? And I said, you asked me that. That follow up, and I said no. I told you this had to happen anyway. The president made a decision, and the decision he made was that Iran was not going to be allowed to hide behind its ballistic missile program, that Iran was not going to be allowed to hide behind its ability to conduct these attacks. That decision had been made. The president systematically made a decision to systematically destroy this terroristic capability that they had, and we carried that out. I was very clear in that answer. This was a question of timing, of why this had to happen as a joint operation, not the question of the intent. Once the president made a decision that negotiations were not going to work, that they were playing us on the negotiations, and that this was a threat that was untenable, the decision was made to strike them. That's what I said yesterday, and you guys need to play it. If you're going to play these statements, you need to play the whole statement, not clip it to reach a narrative that you want to do, all right? I will obviously refer you to the Department of War. Suffice it to say that our objectives remain as they've been identified from the beginning and by the President laid out clearly yesterday. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, and we will now not allow Iran to hide behind the immunity of a massive short-term ballistic missile inventory or the ability to make them or launch them. And so CENTCOM, in a joint operations, is carrying out a systematic destruction of their missile belt, destruction of their launchers, and destruction of their ability to make these, as well as the destruction of their Navy. From what I've been told by the Department of War, everything is on or ahead of schedule and proceeding on these objectives. We have every confidence in the world that these objectives will be achieved. With an update, I will obviously refer
going to unleash Chang on these people in the next few hours and days. What? Chang? Oh, change. It's probably supposed to be change. I was like, who's Chang? And, like, where'd we get him?
What's about to, you're about to see, we're going to unleash Chang on these people.
So it is Chang.
In the next
Who's Chang?
few hours and days. You're going to really begin to perceive a change in the scope and in the intensity of these attacks as, frankly, the 2 most powerful air forces in the world take apart this terroristic regime and defang it and take away its ability to threaten its neighbors or hide behind a zone of immunity that allows them to develop their nuclear ambitions. This terroristic, radical, cleric-led regime cannot be ever allowed to have nuclear weapons. We saw what they were willing to do to their own people. They were willing to slaughter their own people in the streets. Imagine what they would do to us. Imagine what they would do to others. Under President Trump, that will never, ever happen. I said this yesterday, and
Weekend presented a unique opportunity to take joint action against this threat. We wanted this to have maximum success, says Secretary Rubio on Operation Epic Fury.
There's a general question of why the president gave the green light, and then there's a question of why did it have to happen this weekend? Are you saying it had to happen this weekend because of that Israeli action?
No, this weekend presented a unique opportunity to take joint action against this threat. And we wanted this to have maximum success. We want this operation to be successful at achieving its objectives. I'll repeat the objectives. The president laid them out yesterday. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It cannot have, and therefore it cannot have the things it was hiding behind to have a nuclear weapons program. What are those things? Number one, we are going to destroy their missiles and their missile launchers. We are going to destroy their capability to make these missiles and these launchers, and we are going to destroy their Navy. Those are the objectives, and this weekend, acting at this time, gave us the highest probability of success in achieving those objectives, and as the Department of War will brief you, we are on or ahead of schedule to do that.
There's a general question of why the president gave the green light, and then there's a question of why did it have to happen this weekend?
Very specific question. So you guys can misrepresent it, but I was asked a very specific question yesterday. The bottom line is this. The president determined we were not going to get hit first. It's that simple, guys. We are not going to put Americans' troops in harm's way. If you tell the president of the United States that if we don't go first, we're going to have more people killed and more people injured, the president's going to go first. That's what he did. That's what the president will always do. He will always put the safety and security of our men and women in uniform and of all Americans before anything else. He's always going to do that, and that's what he did here. I was asked a very specific question. So you guys can misrepresent it, but I was asked a very specific question yesterday. The bottom line is this. The president determined we were not going to get hit first. It's that simple, guys. We are not going to put Americans' troops in harm's way. If you tell the president of the United States that if we don't go first, we're going to have more people killed and more people injured, the president's going to go first. That's what he did. That's what the president will always do. He will always put the safety and security of our men and women in uniform and of all Americans before anything else. He's always going to do that, and that's what he did here.
Rubio on Iran. Let's see.
I would argue that this threat from Iran, they are hiding behind these missiles and hiding behind these drones. They wanted to reach a point where you couldn't touch them, and then they could do whatever the hell they wanted with their nuclear program. And there is no way in the world that this terroristic regime was going to get nuclear weapons, not under Donald Trump's watch. I would argue that this threat from Iran, let me explain to you guys this in simple English. Okay? Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition to have nuclear weapons. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism that the world will not be able to touch them for fear of those things. And this is the weakest they've ever been. Now is the time to go after them. The president made the decision to go after them, take away their missiles, take away their Navy, take away their drones, take away their ability to make those things so that they can never have a nuclear weapon. That's why the president made this decision. It was the right decision, and the world will be a safer place when these radical clerics no longer have access to these weapons. You see how they're using them now. Imagine how they would use them a year from now if they had more of these. Listen, let me explain to you guys this in simple English. Okay? Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition. Made a decision under the president of the United States made a decision. This is intolerable. Iran cannot have these missiles, cannot have these drones, cannot threaten the world. The president said this is the weakest they've ever been. If we don't hit them now, a year from now, a year and a half from now, no one will be able to touch them, and they'll be able to do whatever they want. And he made a decision to go. And he made a decision to go in a joint operation because it gave us the highest chance of success, and he made the decision to go first because he concluded that we were not going to get hit first. We were not going to absorb a blow from them. We were going to go first. He was not going to run the risk that they could attack us before we could hit them, because in addition to costing lives, it would undermine the effectiveness of our operation. The United States made
Oh, Howard Lutnick volunteers to testify to House committee on the Epstein files. Interesting. Massive tranche of files Justice Department currently maintains is more than 65,000 pages shorter than what the agency initially released. So people archive the shit out of that stuff. Wow. Interesting.
And talk about it in a State of the Union address.
Pardon me. GOP speaking to the press this afternoon. Maybe we'll come back to it. We'll see. Freedom plane carrying 9 founding documents from National Archives to 8 U.S. destinations. Cool. What's going out? Tickets to see the documents will be free to the public at each tour stop. Excuse me. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. An 1823 engraved copy of the Declaration, commissioned by Secretary of State and future President John Quincy Adams. The 1774 Articles of Association that called for a boycott of British goods 1778 oaths of allegiance to the fledgling country taken by future President George Washington, as well as founding fathers Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. 3 separate documents. Wow, that's so neat. 1783 Treaty of Paris that ended America's War of Independence from Great Britain. 1787. Excuse me. Secret printing of a draft of the U.S. Constitution. Wow. The voting records of state delegates to ratify the Constitution. The 1789 Senate markup of what would become the Bill of Rights. Whoa. Plane left Reagan on, well, doesn't say exactly. Oh, on Monday. Okay. Headed for Kansas City, Missouri. So, excuse me, if you're in that area, they'll be at the National World War I Museum and Memorial on Friday, and we'll run through March 22nd. And then we'll be heading to Atlanta, the Atlanta History Center. Cool. Witkoff says Iran negotiators started talks by claiming to have materials to make 11 nuclear bombs. The heck of a way to start a talk. Excuse me. Okay. Witkoff told Fox on Monday that 60% enriched uranium can be brought to 90%, which is weapons grade, in about 7 to 10 days. 20% enriched can be made into weapons grade in 3 to 4 weeks. They told us directly with, no shame that they controlled 460 kilos of 60%, and they're aware that that could make 11 nuclear bombs, and that was the beginning of their negotiating stance. So they were proud of it. Proud that they had evaded all sorts of oversight protocols to get to a place where they could deliver 11 nuclear bombs. Excuse me again. Boy, should have made tea. Fox News' Bill Milligan just embarrassed Hakeem Jeffries. Not saying much exactly, but...
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Back in 2011, Nancy Pelosi said that then President Obama didn't need congressional approval to bomb Libya. Now House Democrats say President Trump needs that approval to bomb Iran. What's the difference?
Well, obviously, Libya and the circumstances connected to that were very different than the circumstance that we face in Iran right now. I mean, I don't even understand the genesis or basis of that question. Not suggesting that you're not asking it in good faith.
Libya went on for 7 months.
As I've indicated, first of all, I was not in Congress at the time. So we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now, which is a catastrophic, endless war, as Donald Trump has characterized it, without any justification that there was going to be a preeminent assault or attack on the United States of America, either in our homeland or as it relates to our interests in the Middle East. The administration is not even pretending like they have intelligence or information at this point, publicly. And certainly there's been nothing that has been presented to us privately to justify a preemptive strike of this nature that has triggered an all-out war in the Middle East. And by the way, Donald Trump is the one who said in the aftermath of the 12-day war that Iran's nuclear program has been completely and totally obliterated. Not my words, his words. So was he lying to the American people then, or is he lying now?
So, Madam Speaker, or Madam Leader, you're saying that the president did not need authorization initially and still does not need any authorization from Congress on Libya?
Yes.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you all very much.
Okay. Lotnick agreeing to appear. Yeah, we saw. All right. Weapons have been smuggled into western Iran to arm thousands of Kurdish volunteers. They're expected to begin a ground operation within days. Whoa. Yeah, you'd think people would maybe not report that if they cared about them succeeding. Whatever. Kash Patel gutted Special Iran Intelligence Unit days before strikes. Wait, what? What? Last week, Patel fired a dozen agents who worked on the case investigating Trump for taking top secret materials to his Mar-a-Lago residence. Those agents have now been revealed to be part of an elite group specializing in assessing threats from Iran. Boy, is that weird. I don't even know what to make of that. Huh? Okay. Patel told Fox News that the agents were spying on him and Susie Wiles, amongst others. Firings could reportedly impact investigations into retaliatory attacks from Iran. I don't know. I doubt that, but clearly something else was going on here. Yeah, that's a weird one. Ayatollah Khamenei's oldest son elected to supreme leader to replace his dad. I guess we better preemptively wish him a quick death, because I doubt it's going to take long. Black Lives Matter founder in Illinois, Clyde McLemore. Oh, we saw. That was just on brand. Russian businessman named in Epstein files found dead in Moscow. Ooh. Who dis? Umar Jabrailov. Or something. Jabrailov? Jabrailov. Had surfaced weeks earlier in documents tied to Epstein. Talking to Ghislaine. Dear Ghislaine, I'm back from London, planning to be in Moscow. Really want to see you. Wow, is he retarded? But I need to know exactly when you arrive because I want to take care of you and arrange welcoming things. Whatever that means. Oh, Dickie Blumenthal.
I just want to say I am more fearful than ever after this briefing that we may be putting boots on the ground and that
we already got boobs on the ground. Look at you.
Troops from the United States may be necessary to accomplish objectives that the administration seems to have, but I also am no more clear on what the priorities are going to be of the administration going forward, whether it is destroying the nuclear capacity of Iran or simply the missiles or regime change or stopping terrorist activities. And I think the administration owes it to the American people to have briefings not just for members of Congress but for the American public. I just want to say
WAPO reports today that investigators could not rule out Iran as a suspect behind the Butler shooting. Washington Post also reported last year that Iran tried killing Pompeo in Paris in 2022 and that he barely escaped. No witnesses, no documentation, just anonymous sources. Interesting.
I just want to say
ethics trial for what's her name? Sherfilos McCormick, that idiot, postponed as lawmaker seeks a new lawyer. Anything to drag that shit out and avoid what we all know is coming. Senate Minority Leader Schumer left the intelligence briefing more concerned than reassured.
I left the intelligence briefing more concerned than reassured. If the case for war were strong, it would be consistent.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
Instead,
lettering added to the Obama Presidential Center ahead of June opening. What, more? Had they not done this yet? I thought they'd already did this. It was ridiculous. Jumbled mess of shit. Can't even read that. I think if the words were so important, you'd want them to be clearly legible, visible, understandable. CIA working to arm Kurdish forces to spark uprising in Iran. CNN is reporting. Oh, thanks, CNN. Way to go. Reached out to Nancy Pelosi's office to ask about her position in 2011 that Obama did not need congressional approval to bomb Libya for 7 freaking months, and how that squares with her position on Trump and Iran now. What did she have to say? There is an absolute distinction between the limited military operations in Libya and the broad escalating war with Iran initiated by President Trump. How's that exactly? Seems pretty similar from here. Goldman Sachs departing General Counsel Catherine Rumler and Epstein biatch has been asked to testify for the House Oversight Committee. Oh, goody. Senate will vote at 4 p.m. tomorrow on whether to take up VA Democratic Senator Tim Kaine's Iran War Powers Resolution. Simple majority needed. Nope. Really? Hillary Clinton's team demanded beauty lighting and custom background for Epstein deposition. Wow. Custom background. Mike Waltz turns table on CNN's Jake Tapper. All right.
Telling Israel, but I can move on. I want to ask the question about the president last June telling the American people that the U.S. and Israel conducted those strikes, Operation Midnight Hammer, that obliterated Iran's nuclear sites. But you just heard him saying that we thought we were going to be attacked. Was the nuclear program, the nuclear weapons program, obliterated last year, or was it not?
Well, what our special envoy Witkoff has repeatedly explained, including, I believe, just last night, is that, yes, we absolutely obliterated those 3 particular sites, Esfahan, Natanz, and Fordow, and their enrichment and weaponization capabilities, but they've also hidden a large amount of highly enriched uranium, number one. And number two, I think it's widely established that once you enrich to 60%, and there's no reason to do so, Jake, except to build a nuclear weapon, it is exponentially above what you need for a civilian program, that the Iranians refuse to give it up. They refuse to ship it out. They refuse to destroy it. They were offered by Special Envoy Witkoff, Kushner, and Secretary Rubio on multiple occasions different avenues to establish just a civilian program. And when that became clear to the president, he decided to stop kicking the can on this problem and take the bold, decisive action that he has. And
social media believed to be tied to Austin Shooter. The black guy, property of Allah guy. The African. Full of anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, misogynistic posts. Just chucking them all in there, I guess. Okay. The Islamic Revolution is eternal. You Zionists and Islamophobes can be angry all you want, but you can't do a damn thing about it, no matter what. Ay. Look at this dude. Property of Allah. Iranian flag shirt underneath the hoodie he was wearing. Look at that. Apparently had a history of mental health issues. Immigrant from Senegal. Yes, his time here in the United States. He spent it well. He was sued years back for severely injuring a woman in a vehicle crash. His response to the lawsuit and its conclusion remain unclear. It was probably nothing. He probably did nothing that he was supposed to do. Paid her nothing. Probably fled. And skated. Arrested 4 times in the succeeding years up until 2016. Don't know for what. What? No clue. No clue. All right. Pentagon identifies 4 of the Army Reserve soldiers killed in the war against Iran. Captain Cody A. Cork, 35, Winter Haven, Florida. Sergeant First Class Noah L. Egens, age 42, Bellevue, Nebraska. Sergeant First Class Nicole M. Amore, age 39, White Bear Lake, Minnesota. And Sergeant Declan J. Cody, age 20, West Des Moines, Iowa. Oof. CIA station at the U.S. Embassy compound in Riyadh is hit in a drone attack.
At a Fox News alert, an official source has confirmed that a suspected Iranian drone has hit a CIA station in Saudi Arabia's capital. Jennifer Griffin is live in Washington. Jennifer, what do we know?
Well, Jessica, we've confirmed with an official source that, in fact, it was an Iranian drone that struck the station, the CIA station in Riyadh. It was part of that U.S. Embassy compound, part of that drone strike last night that led to damage at the embassy. This is certainly a symbolic victory for the IRGC. Nobody was injured. Nobody was at the embassy at the time. The Washington Post was the first to report on the incident and that it was, in fact, the CIA station that was targeted and hit. But what this indicates is that drones, the Iranian drones, are going to be a big problem. They can take out the missile launchers and even the missile stockpiles, but they have thousands, if not tens of thousands of these drones, and anyone can put them in the back of a truck and fire them. These are really the new suicide bombs of the next phase in the Middle East, and they're going to be a problem for some time.
All right, let's go back to that press conference. Where'd that go?
Talked about it in a State of the Union address, and this legislation has a number of important provisions. It reduces and cuts red tape, increases housing supply, makes some important reforms, like the President suggested the other night, which is to place restrictions on the ownership, institutional investor ownership of single-family houses. And so it's a great job by Chairman Scott and his team. This is a bicameral, bipartisan bill that includes a number of important Senate priorities. A number of our senators have had input into this bill, and it's a piece of legislation that strikes at the very heart of the issue of affordability. Particularly with younger Americans who are very concerned about their ability to experience the American dream and own a home. This legislation will make that more possible. On another issue, we are now 18 days into a second Democrat shutdown, and unfortunately it's Department of Homeland Security. Couldn't be worse timing. This is an agency that has obviously huge responsibilities and funds a number of important functions in our government, including our TSA agents who make it safe to fly. And so I'm hopeful that the Democrats will come to the conclusion that this is a really bad idea, particularly right now. As you all know, we live in a dangerous world, and that's abundantly clear. And there are 120,000 DHS employees who don't know right now whether or not they're going to get paid here in the very near future. And so I would hope that the Democrats would work with us. There's been a tremendous amount of outreach on behalf of the administration. The White House has worked to try and come up with provisions in this legislation that would help attract Democrat support. The Democrats at some point have to take yes for an answer. And so I just think it's really important, and 18 days into this now, second Democrat government shutdown, that because it is the Department of Homeland Security, which is responsible for defending and protecting the homeland, that the Democrats work with the White House and try and negotiate a deal that would allow that agency to be reopened again, for all the reasons I just mentioned. I'm going to hand it off now to Chairman Scott. As I said, he did a great job negotiating the Road to Housing bill, and I'll give him an opportunity to speak to that, and then we'll take your questions. Chairman.
Thank you. Promises made, promises kept. President Trump made a very important campaign promise on the campaign trail, and we are delivering. Both the House and the Senate passing historic housing legislation. The 21st Century Road to Housing Act really does meet the need. It focuses on local jurisdictions, number one. It removes red tape and unnecessary burdensome processes from the federal government, number two. And number three, it creates and will expand housing supply while focusing on affordability. It's so important. As a kid who grew up in poverty, my mother became a first-time home buyer at the age of 38. Today in America, that age is 40. How do we bring those prices down? How do we make it easier for your average person to experience their version of the American dream through home ownership? I think it starts by making sure that Washington understands solutions start at home. And so what you'll find in this legislation is we start in local jurisdictions. We start by making sure that both the House, the Senate, Republicans and Democrats do not see this issue as red versus blue, House versus Senate. We see this as taking care of Americans who desperately want to experience the American dream. We made that possible through legislation that passed the House 399 to 1, passed through the Senate unanimously. Now we find ourselves taking 20 to 21 provisions out of the House bill, out of 25, and 36 out of our 40, creating in harmony legislation that moves housing forward for the average American, and it's really good news.
Senator, would you think the Congress would need to authorize any military action against Iran beyond the 60-day or 90-day window?
No. I think the President has the authority that he needs to conduct the activities, the operations that are currently underway there. As you know, there's a lot of controversy around questions around the War Powers Act, but I think the President is acting in the best interest of the nation and our national security interests by ensuring that he's protecting Americans and American bases and installations in that region, as well as those of our allies.
The President has not ruled out boots on the ground. He has said that this could go on for a long period of time. 6 American service members have already been killed. Where is Congress? When does Congress weigh in?
Well, Congress obviously, as you know, has the power of the purse. The President has broad authorities under Article 2 of the Constitution when it comes to defending America's national security interest. And the authority that he is using is very similar to that used by President Obama in Libya, going back prior to that, previous administrations. So, obviously, I don't think the President probably is going to take options off the table. You don't want to telegraph to your enemies what you will or will not do. But I think that they are achieving great success with what they've done so far, and it's targeted, of course, at naval and air assets in that region that the Iranians currently possess, ballistic missiles that could do great damage to Americans and to our allies in the region. And so I think once that has been achieved, once those objectives have been achieved, there are a lot of questions about what happens next. And I think, frankly, that's going to be largely up to the Iranian people. But this will eliminate the threat that is posed that could kill countless numbers of Americans. There is no country in the world that has more American blood on its hands than Iran. So I think the president was perfectly within his rights to take the steps that he took. I think it was a necessary step in order to protect American lives.
There are concerns about low munitions piles, sir. There have been those concerns for some time. Are you worried that this is a military readiness issue? Because briefers told Congress that there are a high number of expenditures when it comes to munitions that are happening right now as a result of Iran.
Right, and I think that one of the things that we did last summer, and one of the reasons we thought it was important to provide additional resources to the Defense Department is because for many years during the Biden administrations, defense spending wasn't even keeping up with the rate of inflation. And so we forward funded some things. But obviously, we'll be paying attention, and General Kane, we're going to hear from him later today, and that question about munitions, I'm sure, will be asked. But as I've said earlier, I think it's important to remember too that not only do we have, I think the resources necessary to conduct the operations that are underway right now, but also a lot of our allies in the region also have capabilities that are coming to bear now. And I think the Iranians, by sort of lashing out in every direction, have really sort of united a lot of our Arab allies in the region, and I think you're going to see more of that. And Europeans are starting to engage a little bit. I think people realize and recognize the threat that Iran represents, not just to that region, but to the entire world, and particularly if they continue to develop a nuclear capability. So it starts there: ballistic missiles, naval assets, an important shipping lane. There are lots of objectives that I think are going to be met, and hopefully will be met in a time frame that doesn't require some of the things that you are suggesting or asking questions about.
Senator, the Democrats are calling it unconstitutional that Congress was not briefed beforehand. Why, in your opinion, was that okay that they went ahead without informing you beforehand? And do you buy the argument that Trump is now using that it was a preemptive strike?
Well, I think it was clearly a preemptive strike, and I think there was an imminent threat there. It's been conveyed, I think as most of you know, at least to the degree that they can share it, through the intelligence community that American assets in the region were going to be struck by Iranian missiles. And so I think it was, they responded accordingly there. The first part of your question was?
That Congress wasn't briefed beforehand.
Right, yeah. Well, and
saying this is unconstitutional.
You know, I mean, the idea that the administration in any operation is going to tell 535 members of Congress who never leak about anything what exactly they're going to do. But they did inform us. They met with us last week. The Gang of Eight heard what was being contemplated. I was called, notified the day that the actual operations got underway. And we had a meeting again yesterday where they updated on progress so far. And we're going to have another meeting this afternoon at 3:30 with the entire Senate, both Democrats and Republicans. Well, they're going to lay out and answer questions about the ongoing operations. So I think that there have been, I mean, I think the administration, frankly, has very much kept us in the loop, at least as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not just saying that's not just me. That's Democrats and Republicans, House and Senate.
Congress voted to authorize Iraq. Senator, Congress voted to authorize Iraq and Afghanistan. Why not vote to authorize this?
They've been told to evacuate. They've also been told that the U.S. government cannot help them to evacuate. Did the State Department, did the Trump administration kind of bungle the response in terms of telling Americans whether or not to evacuate, and now it's too late?
I think that you will see a ramped up, intensified effort to ensure that Americans are being evacuated from the region, and I suspect that's going to involve a good amount of investment and air assets to get people out of there. But, you know, obviously there are implications. This has turned out, as we kind of suspected it might be, that the Iranians, when they retaliated, it would be a very far-reaching response. But the fact that the Ayatollah is out of there and a good amount of his leadership team makes this world and our country safer. And I don't think there's any question about that. And I think getting rid of the capability that the Iranians have, both in terms of short-term and medium-term, or medium range, I should say, short-range and medium range, ballistic missiles, making sure that they can never threaten the world with a nuclear weapon. These are really, really worthwhile objectives and things that I think have been a part of our national security, obviously, objectives and strategy for a long time. This was an opportunity to act on it, and had we not acted on it, I think the loss of life would be a lot greater. But we mourn any loss of life, and the families of those whose lives have been lost, we are, all of us, I think, incredibly mournful with them, and we'll continue to pray for them and their families.
Thank you. Secretary of Military resign.
All right. Oh, hello. There we go. Okay. Numerous foreign-run leftist agitprop accounts have just been caught pushing identical paid propaganda claiming Trump looks scared and nervous while praising Iran for standing up to him. Yeah, it's going on all over the place. The, what do you call it? PsyOps on social media are just nonstop. Basically every damn where you look. Of course, that is Iran's specialty, so. Cyber warfare. James Comer, Epstein investigation update. I'm calling on 7 individuals to appear for transcribed interviews. Oh shit. Bill Gates, Catherine Rimler, Leon Black. Oh shit. Leslie Groff. Oh shit. Sarah Kellen. Ooh. Ted Waite. Oh fuck. And Doug fucking Band. Oh, that's a big deal, dude. That is a big fucking deal. Huge deal. Doug Band, I believe, was the one who would have been right there with Epstein, building the Clinton Foundation. Yeah, created the Clinton Global Initiative, and later worked for the Clinton Foundation. There's going to be a lot to ask him about. Doug Band and Epstein, I think, have some other connections too. Let's see. Is there a photo of them? Been so long. There's Bandy. There he is. Look at him. Dirtbag. There he is with Ghislaine. I thought I remembered that, right? There they are. Awfully close. Well, that's a nice nice bit of news right there. I gotta say, that's good to hear. All right, Speaker Johnson just pummeled Democrats for playing right into the hands of Iran.
Decades. There's no question about this. The Democrats never had any question about it when Democrat presidents were using this authority. When you look at the analysis of the War Powers Act and the law that applies and the powers that are given to the Commander-in-Chief under Article 2 of the Constitution, President Trump has done exactly what he should do. He is squarely within the law. He used his discretion and his authority and the intelligence that he had, exquisite as it was, as is demonstrated by its effectiveness, and he did what he should have done as a commander-in-chief. The idea that a few colleagues here would try to move a war powers motion and resolution to the floor right now is dangerous. Imagine a scenario where Congress would vote to tell the commander-in-chief that he was no longer allowed to complete this mission. That would be a very dangerous thing. You see that Iran is firing almost seemingly indiscriminately at targets. They're trying to intimidate America. They're trying to test our resolve. And the idea that there's some members of this legislative body that would play along with that plays right into the hands of the enemy. And I think it's shameful. I do believe we have the votes to defeat it. I certainly hope we do, because we have lots of troops, service members in harm's way right now. And the balance of this thing is hanging there. It's been very effective thus far. It needs to be completed. We don't need Congress getting in the way of that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Decades. There's no question about.
Let's see what else we can find here in the last few. Boy, oof, must be nice. Jeez. There's a stack of cash right there. Ah, here are the four who have passed away. Oh. Wow. Runway. Wow. Interesting.
We work with pretty much like most, if not all, of the major film studios, and it's been a long kind of groundwork to get here, and a lot of conversations to basically make them aware of what those models can do, and make them aware that you can use them in conjunction with traditional methods. Like we have models that can take an actor's performance and translate that into a video model output, and you can
mix it
perform as a
traditional
different
and new.
character. So there's all these ways in which the old world and the new world can interact that are not always obvious to people, and like not always obvious in public discourse. But I do think Hollywood will need to reinvent itself. Like there is obviously those models allow you to do things with like very little resources that you couldn't do before, and that changes who can create kind of films, who can be part of that conversation. And I think we're going to see a 100x or 1,000x of like the number of films in the world, and like that the ecosystem needs to change because of that. But I do think there is a continuing need for like taste and talent, and like those things are not going away, and it's still going to be the same distribution of what's kind of
interesting. All right, come on, give me some news, please. Boy, I don't know what the algorithm's doing today, but it's absolute garbage. Slop after slop after slop. What's Anthony Weiner doing? On The View? What? You're kidding.
You resigned 2011 over a sexting scandal. 2 years later, you stepped down from the mayoral race after
with
sexting again under the alias Carlos Danger. And then in 2016, you sent lewd texts to a minor and served 15 months in prison, in addition to becoming a registered sex offender. So with all that said, why do you think, or why should New Yorkers give you a chance at a political comeback?
Unbelievable, dude.
Well, let me just say this. I mean, all of that happened, and I accept responsibility for it. You won't hear me do what some other people in public life have done, Donald Trump or Andrew Cuomo or Eric Adams. I'm a victim. They persecuted me for no reason. I was dealing with very serious problems. I was dealing with what I now understand to be addiction. I lost my brother Seth to addiction.
Don't play the victim game, you fuckwad.
I accept it. I didn't ask for a trial. I pled guilty, served my time in prison. served in a halfway house, served probation, went to try to do good work for the formerly incarcerated. And I guess what I'm saying to people is, maybe don't vote for me in spite of what they know about me, but maybe consider that journey, that idea that we all go through things and we come out the other side. And also, what
I've
does it
definitely
mean?
gone through a journey in my life, but my journey did not include sexting underage women. Sorry, girls.
You know, I'm Jewish, but they have this notion in Catholicism around you suffer for a reason so you can be of service at the other end. So I'm not asking people, I'm doing the opposite of what a lot of politicians do when they're in my position. Ignore that problem, pretend it didn't happen, blame someone else. I am saying, yes, I did these things. I got into recovery. I try to make my life better. And now if I can be of service, and I'm a damn good politician. I come up with answers. I talk to people
Who is
directly.
telling him this? Who is telling him that he's a good politician?
Try to butter over things. I try to be direct. Then why shouldn't I? And if it's just because I have bad things in my past, that's not a good enough reason. I mean, look, all I can ever be is who I am right now. Yeah. And that brought me to this.
Oh, yeah. No. I can't believe people actually clapped for that. The sign went on saying, please applaud, and they did it. Retards. All right, well, that does it for me. No mas. No mas. I tap out. Sketch Dangerous here. How you doing, man?
Ding, ding, ding. Man, I'm blessed.
Yeah,
Dude, how are
pretty
you?
good, man. Pretty good.
Awesome.
No toots today?
Did you have a good show? No, I guess not. Yeah. Sunny's actually my co-host now, but she said she couldn't do it, so I guess I'm flying solo. We'll see how it goes. I'll try not to run everybody off.
You'll do just fine. I know it. You're good, man.
I appreciate it.
Well, I'll
brother.
let you get to it then. All you, man.
All right.
Back at
God
you.
bless you. Have a good one.
Adios.
Adios.
All right, guys. That's it. Bye-bye. No more. I'm done. I'll be back. Should be tomorrow evening. Get a dentist appointment, though. I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. We'll see. So, if I don't see you, I'll see you on the next one. You know.